नमस्ते सर।
नमस्ते। देव प्रणाम।
सभी को नमस्ते। अरण्य विहार ट्रस्ट की ओर से नव वर्ष की शुभकामनाएं। तो शुरू करते हैं सायकालीन वंदना से। योऽसो भगवान् अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो स्वाक्षतो येन भगवता धम्मो सुपटिपन्नो यस्य भगवतो सावकसङ्घो तन्मयं भगवन्तं सधम्मं ससङ्गं इमे हि सत्कारे यतारहं आरोपिते हि अभिपूजयामा साधुनो भन्ते भगवा
सुचिरपरिनिर्भूतोऽपि
पश्चिमा जनतानुकम्प मानसा इमे सत्कारे दुगतपणाकारभूते पटिघनहातु अम्हाकं दीगरतं हिताय सुखाय अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो भगवा बुद्धं भगवन्तं अभिवादेमि। स्वाक्षतो भगवता धम्मो धम्मं नमस्सामि। सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्घो सङ्घं नमामि। अन्धमयं बुद्धस्य भगवतो पुब्बभागनमकारं करोमसे नमो तस्य भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्य नमो तस्य भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्य नमो तस्य भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्य। आर्य अष्टांगिक मार्ग करेंगे, पेज नंबर 45। अन्धमयं आर्य अष्टांगिक मग्गपाठं भनामसे अयं एव आर्यो अष्टांगिको मग्गो सेयतिदं सम्मा दिट्ठि सम्मा संकप्पो सम्मा वाचा सम्मा कम्मन्तो सम्मा आजीवो सम्मा वायामो सम्मा सति सम्मा समाधि आए हम आर्य अष्टांगिक मार्ग का पाठ करें। यह है आर्य अष्टांगिक मार्ग, अर्थात सम्यक दृष्टि, सम्यक संकल्प, सम्यक वचन, सम्यक कर्म, सम्यक आजीविका, सम्यक उद्यम, सम्यक सती, सम्यक समाधि, कतमा च विक्रवे सम्मादिट्टि यंखो भिक्खवे दुःखे ज्ञानं दुःख समुदये ज्ञानं दुःख निरोधे ज्ञानं दुःख निरोधगामिनीय पटिपदाय ज्ञानं अयं उच्यते भिक्खवे सम्मादिट्टि। भिक्षुओं, सम्यक दृष्टि क्या है? जो दुख का ज्ञान है, दुख के समुदय का ज्ञान, दुख के निरोध का ज्ञान, दुख निरोध को ले जाने वाले मार्ग का ज्ञान। भिक्षुओं, इसे कहते हैं सम्यक दृष्टि। कतमो च भिक्खवे सम्मा संकप्पो निक्कम्म संकप्पो अव्यापाद संकप्पो अहिंसा संकप्पो अयं उच्यते भिक्खवे सम्मा संकप्पो। और भिक्षुओं, सम्यक संकल्प क्या है? निष्क्रमण का संकल्प, निर्द्वेष का संकल्प, अहिंसा का संकल्प। भिक्षुओं, इसे कहते हैं सम्यक संकल्प। कतमा च भिक्खवे सम्मा वाचा मुसावादा वेरमणि पिसुनाय वाचाय वेरमणि परुषाय वाचाय वेरमणि संपप्पलापा वेरमणि अयं उच्यते भिक्खवे सम्मा वाचा। और भिक्षुओं, सम्यक वचन क्या है? मिथ्या वचन ना बोलना, दुर्भावना पूर्ण वचन ना बोलना, कड़वे वचन ना बोलना, व्यर्थ का वार्तालाप ना करना। भिक्षुओं, इसे कहते हैं सम्यक वचन। कतमा च भिक्खवे सम्मा कम्मन्तो पानातिपाता वेरमणि अदिन्नादाना वेरमणि कामेषु मिच्छाचारा वेरमणि अयं उच्यते भिक्खवे सम्मा कम्मन्तो। और भिक्षुओं, सम्यक कर्म क्या है? प्राणी हत्या न करना, जो नहीं दिया गया है उसे ना लेना, व्यभिचार ना करना। भिक्षुओं, इसे कहते हैं सम्यक कर्म। कतमो च भिक्खवे सम्मा आजीवो इद भिक्खवे आर्य सावको मिच्छा आजीवं पहाय सम्मा आजीवेन जीवितं कप्पेति अयं उच्यते भिक्खवे सम्मा आजीवो। भिक्षुओं, सम्यक आजीविका क्या है? भिक्षुओं, आर्य श्रावक गलत आजीविका को छोड़कर सम्यक आजीविका अर्जित करता है। भिक्षुओं, इसे कहते हैं सम्यक आजीविका। कतमो च भिक्खवे सम्मा वायामो इद भिक्खवे भिक्खु अनुपन्नानं पापकानं अकुशलानं धम्मानं अनुपादाय चन्दं जनेति वायमति विरियं आरभति चित्तं पगन्हाति पदहति। और भिक्षुओं, सम्यक उद्यम क्या है? भिक्षुओं, जब कोई भिक्षु मन की अनुपन्न पाप पूर्ण अकुशल वृत्तियों को उत्पन्न न होने देने के लिए इच्छा जगाता है, उद्यम करता है, पुरुषार्थ करता है, चित्त को लगाता है, परिश्रम करता है, uppannānaṁ pāpakānaṁ akusalaнаं dhammánaं pahānāya chandang janeti vāyamati viriyang ārabhati चित्तं पगन्हाति पदहति। मन की उत्पन्न हुए पाप पूर्ण अकुशल वृत्तियों का प्रहार करने के लिए इच्छा जगाता है, उद्यम करता है, पुरुषार्थ करता है, चित्त को लगाता है, परिश्रम करता है। अनुपन्नानां कुशलानां धम्मानां उपादाय चंदं जनेति वायमति वीर्यं आरभति चित्तं पगन्हाति पदहति। मन की अनुपन्न कुशल वृत्तियों को उत्पन्न करने के लिए इच्छा जगाता है, उद्यम करता है, पुरुषार्थ करता है, चित्त को लगाता है और परिश्रम करता है। uppannānaṁ कुशलानां धम्मानां तीत्या असम्मोसाय वियो भावाय वेपुलाय भावनाय पारिपुरिया चंदन जनेति वायमति वीर्यं आरभति चित्तं पगन्हाति पदहति। अयं उच्यते भिक्खवे सम्मा वायामो। मन की उत्पन्न हुई कुशल वृत्तियों को स्थिर रखने, समाप्त नहीं होने देने, उनकी क्षमता बढ़ाने और विपुल पूर्णता प्राप्त करने के लिए इच्छा जगाता है, उद्यम करता है, पुरुषार्थ करता है, चित्त को लगाता है और परिश्रम करता है। भिक्षुओं, इसे कहते हैं सम्यक उद्यम। कथमाच भिक्खवे सम्मा सति इद भिक्खवे भिक्खु काये कायानुपस्सी विहरति आतापि संपजानो सतीमा। विनय लोके अभिज्ञा दो मनसं। और भिक्षुओं, सम्यक सती क्या है? भिक्षुओं, जब कोई भिक्षु शरीर में शरीर को जानते हुए पूर्ण रूप से जागरूक और सचेत रहते हुए तप करता है, लोक में सभी लिप्सा और दौर मनुष्य को छोड़कर वेदनासु वेदनानुपस्सी विहरति आतापि संपजानो सतीमा। विनय लोके अभिज्ञा दो मनसं। वेदनाओं में वेदना को जानते हुए पूर्ण रूप से जागरूक और सचेत रहते हुए तप करता है, लोक में सभी लिप्सा और दौर मनुष्य को छोड़कर चित्ते चित्तानुपस्सी विहरति आतापि संपजानो सतीमा। विनय लोके अभिज्ञा दो मनसं। चित्त में चित्त को जानते हुए पूर्ण रूप से जागरूक और सचेत रहते हुए तप करता है, लोक में सभी लिप्सा और दौर मनुष्य को छोड़कर धम्मेषु धम्मानुपस्सी विहरति आतापि संपजानो सतीमा। विनय लोके अभिज्ञा दो मनसं। अयं उच्यते भिक्खवे सम्मा सती। चित्त की वृत्तियों में चित्त की वृत्तियों को जानते हुए पूर्ण रूप से जागरूक और सचेत रहते हुए तप करता है, लोक में सभी लिप्सा और दौर मनुष्य को छोड़कर। भिक्षुओं, इसे कहते हैं सम्यक सती। कथमाच भिक्खवे सम्मा समाधि इद भिक्खवे भिक्खु विविच्यैव कामेहि विविच्य अकुशलेहि धम्मेहि सवितकं सविचारं विवेकजं पीति सुखं पटमं जानं उपसंपज्य विहरति। और भिक्षुओं, सम्यक समाधि क्या है? भिक्षुओं, जब कोई भिक्षु इंद्रियों के विषयों से विरत, मन की अकुशल अवस्थाओं से विरत, वितर्क और विचार सहित एकांत से उत्पन्न प्रीति सुख की अनुभूति के साथ प्रथम ध्यान में प्रवेश कर विहार करता है। वितक विचाराणं उपसमा अज्जतं संपसादनं चेतसो एकोदीभावं अवितकं अविचारं समाधिजं पीति सुखं। वितर्क और विचारों को शांत कर बिना वितर्क और विचारों के भीतर से शांत चित्त की एकाग्रता समाधि से उत्पन्न प्रीति सुख की अनुभूति के साथ द्वितीयं ज्ञानं उपसंपज्य विहरति, द्वितीय ध्यान में प्रवेश कर विहार करता है। पीतियाचा विरागा उपेक्षो च विहरति, सतोच संपजानो सुखंच कायेन पटि संवेदेति, यंतं अरिय अचिकंति उपेक्षो सति मा सुख विहरतीति, ततीयं जानं उपसंपज्य विहरति, प्रीति से विरत समता भाव में प्रतिष्ठित हो, जागरूक और संप्रज्ञानी हो, काया में सुख का अनुभव करते हुए जिसे आर्य समतावान सतिवान सुख विहारी कहते हैं, उस तृतीय ध्यान में प्रवेश कर उसमें विहार करता है। सुखच्च पहाना दुःखस्य च पहाना पुब्बयेव सोमनस दो मनसान अट्ठंगमा अधुकम असुखम उपेक्षा सति परिशुद्धि, चतुर्थ जानं उपसंपज्य विहरति, आयं उच्यति विकवे सम्मा समाधि। सुख का प्रहान कर दुख का प्रहान कर सौमनस्य और दौर्मनस्य का पहले ही अंत हो जाने से फिर सुख और दुख रहित समता एवं परिशुद्ध सती के साथ वह चतुर्थ ध्यान में प्रवेश कर विहार करता है। भिक्षुओं इसे कहते हैं सम्यक समाधि। आयेंगे व आर्यो अष्टांगिको मग्गो, यही है आर्य अष्टांगिक मार्ग। कल का सेक्शन को बनाए रखते हुए अभी मैं आई हैंड ओवर द सेशन टू सक्षम।
थैंक यू। नमस्कार आप सभी का। तो आज फिर से हम कल का सेशन कंटिन्यू करते हैं। कल हम 3 सेक्शंस सुत्ता रीडिंग में 3 सेक्शंस कंप्लीट कर लिए थे, बट एक लास्ट सेक्शन बच गया था अबाउट लाइवलीहुड। तो लेट मी शेयर माय स्क्रीन एंड वी कैन गो थ्रू दैट। कल के जैसा सेम हम आज करेंगे ट्राई कि पहले एक बार सेक्शन को रीड कर लें। इस सेक्शन में 2 सुत्ता हैं, इनको रीड कर लें और फिर 10 मिनट का रिफ्लेक्शन टाइम होगा, कुछ कुछ क्वेश्चंस पोज्ड होंगे। और अगर अ, आप लोग उनमें से कोई एक या दो क्वेश्चंस जैसे भी आप चाहें उन पे रिफ्लेक्ट कर सकते हैं, या फिर कोई पॉइंट आपको अच्छा लगा या इंटरेस्टिंग लगा तो उस पर रिफ्लेक्ट कर सकते हैं, एंड देन वी विल हैव सम डिस्कशन। तो इट इज ऑल्सो अगेन सजेस्टेड टू हैव अ पेन एंड पेपर हैंडी या फिर समवेयर टू नोट। तो सुत्त 11, 4 things lead to the welfare and happiness in the material domain and in the spiritual domain, in this life and in future lives. At one time, the Buddha was staying in the land of the Kolians, where they had a town named Kakkarapatta. Then Dighjanu, the Kolian, went up to the Buddha, bowed, sat down to one side, and said to the Buddha, "Sir, we are lay people who enjoy sensual pleasures and living at home with our children. We use sandalwood imported from Kasi. We wear garlands, perfumes, and makeup, and we accept gold and money. May the Buddha please teach us the Dhamma in a way that leads to our welfare and happiness in this life and in future lives." Vyagajapajja. These 4 things lead to the welfare and happiness of a gentleman in this life. What for? One, accomplishment in initiative. Second, protection. Third, good friendship. And fourth, balanced finances. So here the Buddha is talking about uh, the what leads to welfare and happiness in this life. And what is accomplishment in initiative? It's when a gentleman earns a living by means such as farming, trade, raising cattle, archery, government service, or one of the professions. He understands how to go about these things in order to complete and organize the work. This is called accomplishment and initiative. So, as pointed out here by Bhanteji, actually, that the interesting point to be noticed here that the Buddha encourages householders to be skilled in earning a livelihood. There is a common misunderstanding among subsections that a Dhamma follower means that one need not and or cannot work, since that is a distraction from Dhamma practice. This point clearly exhibits the contrary, and uh, so we can also talk more about this in the discussion. As I have also personally a lot of times felt the confusion about what is the role of work in my Dhamma practice, and uh, and things along that. So we can talk more about this in the discussion section. Second, and what is accomplishment in protection? It's when a gentleman owns legitimate wealth that he has earned by his own efforts and initiative, built up with his own hands, gathered by the sweat of the brow. He ensures it is guarded and protected, thinking, how can I prevent my wealth from being taken by rulers or bandits, consumed by fire, swept away by flood, or taken by unloved heirs? This is called accomplishment in protection. And what is accomplishment in good friendship? It's when a gentleman resides in a town or village, and in that place there are householders or their children who may be young or old, but are mature in conduct, accomplished in faith, ethics, generosity, and wisdom. He associates with them, converses, and engages in discussion. And he emulates the same kind of accomplishment in faith, ethics, generosity, and wisdom. This is called accomplishment in good friendship. And what is accomplishment in balanced finances? It's when a gentleman, knowing his income and expenditure, balances his finances, being neither too extravagant nor too frugal. He thinks, in this way, my income will exceed my expenditure, not the reverse. It's like an appraiser or their apprentice who, holding up the scales, knows that it's low by this much or high by this much. In the same way, a gentleman, knowing his income and expenditure, balances his finances, neither being too extravagant nor too frugal. He thinks, in this way, my income will exceed my expenditure, not the reverse. If a gentleman has little income but an opulent lifestyle, people will say, this gentleman eats their wealth like a fig eater. If a gentleman has a large income but a Spartan life, people will say, this gentleman is starving themselves to death. But a gentleman, knowing his income and expenditure, leads a balanced life, neither too extravagant nor too frugal. Thinking, in this way, my income will exceed my expenditure, not the reverse. This is called accomplishment in balanced finances. Just a second. You can go. Sorry. There are 4 drains on wealth that has been gathered in this way: womanizing, drinking, gambling, and having bad friends, companions, and associates. Suppose there was a large reservoir with 4 inlets and 4 drains, and someone was to open up the drains and close off the inlets, and the heavens don't provide enough rain. You would expect that large reservoir to dwindle, not expand. In the same way, there are 4 drains on wealth that has been gathered in this way: womanizing, drinking, gambling, and having bad friends, companions, and associates. There are 4 inlets for wealth that has been gathered in this way: not womanizing, drinking, or gambling, and having good friends, companions, and associates. Suppose there was a large reservoir with 4 inlets and 4 drains, and someone was to open up the inlets and close off the drains, and the heavens provide plenty of rain. you would expect that large reservoir to expand, not dwindle. In the same way, there are four inlets for wealth that has been gathered in this way. Not womanizing, drinking, or gambling, and having good friends, companions, and associates.
Sakshanji, can you increase this zoom out? It is little small.
Thank you for pointing this out.
Yeah.
Good. These are the four things that lead to the welfare and happiness of a gentleman in this life. I will also just share the link in the chat again. These four things lead to the welfare and happiness of a gentleman in future lives. What for? And so now the Buddha is talking about things that lead to welfare and happiness in future lives. 1. Accomplishment in faith. 2. Ethics, generosity, and wisdom. And what is accomplishment in faith? It's when a gentleman has faith in the realized one's awakening. That blessed one is perfect, a fully awakened Buddha, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, holy, knower of the world, supreme guide for those who wish to train, teacher of gods and humans, awakened, blessed. This is called accomplishment in faith. And what is accomplishment in ethics? It's when a gentleman doesn't kill living creatures, steal, commit sexual misconduct, lie, or consume alcoholic drinks that cause negligence. This is called accomplishment in ethics. And what is accomplishment in generosity? It's when a gentleman lives at home, rid of the stain of stinginess, freely generous, open handed, loving to let go, committed to charity, loving to give and to share. This is called accomplishment in generosity. And what is accomplishment in wisdom? It's when a gentleman is wise. He has the wisdom of arising and passing away, which is noble, penetrative, and leads to the complete ending of suffering. This is called accomplishment in wisdom. These are the four things that lead to the welfare and happiness of a gentleman in future lives. They're enterprising in the workplace, diligent in managing things, they balance their finances and preserve their wealth. Faithful, accomplished in ethics, bountiful, rid of stinginess, they always purify the path to well-being in lives to come. And so these 8 qualities of a faithful householder are declared by the one who is truly named to lead to happiness in both spheres, welfare and benefit in this life, and happiness in future lives. This is how, for a householder, merit grows by generosity. So that was quite a long sutta as compared to previous ones. Now we will move on to the last sutta, which is about the proper use of wealth. The Blessed One said to the householder Anathapindika, householder, there are 5 utilizations of wealth. What are the 5? 1. Here, householder, with wealth acquired by energetic striving, amassed by the strength of his arms, earned by the sweat of the brow, righteous wealth righteously gained, the noble disciple makes himself happy and pleased and properly maintains himself in happiness. He makes his parents happy and pleased and properly maintains them in happiness. He makes his wife and children, his servants, workers, and helpers happy and pleased and properly maintains them in happiness. This is the first utilization of wealth. Again, with wealth acquired by energetic striving, righteously gained, the noble disciple makes his friends and companions happy and pleased and properly maintains them in happiness. This is the second utilization of wealth. Third, again, with wealth acquired by energetic striving, righteously gained, the noble disciple makes provisions with his wealth against the losses that might arise because of fire or floods, kings or bandits, or unloved heirs. He makes himself secure against them. This is the third utilization of wealth. Fourth, and again, with wealth acquired by energetic striving, righteously gained, the noble disciple makes the 5 oblations to relatives, guests, ancestors, the king, and the deities. This is the fourth utilization of wealth. Fifth, again, with wealth acquired by energetic striving, righteously gained, the noble disciple establishes an uplifting offering of alms, an offering that is heavenly, resulting in happiness conducive to heaven. To those ascetics and Brahmins who refrain from intoxication and heedlessness, who are settled in patience and mildness, who tame themselves, calm themselves, and train themselves for Nibbana. This is the fifth utilization of wealth. So now we can sit for 10 minutes and reflect upon the questions. The questions that are posed here are: where do I stand in regard to the advice on energetically earning a livelihood? Related to Sutta number 11. And question number 2 is: what is my relationship to personal wealth? To what extent am I using it in the manner prescribed in this sutta? Where or how can I improve? And again, as this is the new year, we can also try to, if we find some good insight, we can try to create an aspiration for the coming year for ourselves to grow in the Dhamma, in the insight that we found would be very helpful for ourselves. So let's have 10 minutes of quiet time.
Maybe you can just leave the questions on display, you know. So if anyone wants to look at the suttas again, वो link Saksham ने chat पे दिया हुआ है. That document is available for everyone to view separately in your own use.
Okay. I hope everyone had some good reflections. So now we can open the floor for discussions, interesting points, or questions. So if anyone has something, please come forward.
I can share something. सेक्शन में आपने पॉइंट किया था कि कई बार हम लोग धम्मा प्रैक्टिस करते हैं तो हमें लगता है कि वी somehow we should not be wasting our time in earning related activities. तो हालांकि मेरी ऐसी सोच तो नहीं रही है कभी भी, मुझे लगता है कि आई अर्न फॉर माई सेल्फ, बट एट द सेम टाइम मेरे मन में कहीं पे ये एक दो नाव की सवारी थी कि मैं जॉब तो कर रही हूँ बट आई वांट टू बी एल्सवेयर, सो इन सम पार्ट, इन सम वे समटाइम्स आई वुड नॉट डू जस्टिस टू माय वर्क, एटलीस्ट मेरा माइंडसेट वैसा था कि अल्टीमेटली यहाँ से जाना है, इट वाज लाइक दैट। तो उसकी वजह से 100% कमिटमेंट वर्क के लिए नहीं फील होता था, भले ही काम कर भी लो बट एक somehow one was not fully um, attuned to that in some way. तो फिर एक बार मतलब शायद सर से कोई डिस्कशन हुई होगी एंड ही काइंड ऑफ said that you're not going to that other place that you're talking about, then why don't you know practice your dhamma where you are, उसको उसको ढंग से करो। He may have said it in different words, but the essence of that was कि अगर मैं एक दूसरी लाइफ के बारे में सोच रही हूँ आउटसाइड ऑफ वर्क, तो जब तक वो रियलिटी नहीं बन गई है, व्हाट आई एम डूइंग अप टू द धम्मा इज वेयर यू आर। एंड सो देन आई सेड ओके, लेट मी जस्ट गिव दैट अ शॉट, एंड देन आई along with my other worldly life, I gave myself fully to my work। मतलब फिजिकली तो मैं वैसे भी करती थी बट मेंटली और इन टर्म्स ऑफ माय हार्ट टेंशन टू दैट। And then, interestingly for me, what happened was कि um, I actually found myself getting very competitive at work। और ये मेरे लिए बहुत सरप्राइजिंग था क्योंकि मैं तो competitive थी नहीं, और मैं तो आई वाज ऑलवेज लाइक कि यहाँ पे ऐसा कुछ अकम्प्लिश करना नहीं है। तो इट वाज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग फॉर मी क्योंकि ये शायद कोई दबी हुई चीज थी मेरे अंदर, अनमैनिफेस्टेड, विच एक्चुअली बिकेम मैनिफेस्ट। And it gave me an opportunity to look really deeply into that, and I went through that phase also। और उसके बाद करते करते then continuously looking into the framework of the Buddha's teaching, then I found myself in a place that where I can be non-competitive, uh, attached but non-attached to my work, and do justice there, and बी फोकस्ड इन अ वे दैट कि कहीं कुछ भाग के जाना नहीं है, एस्केपिज्म भी नहीं है, तो जो करना है धम्मा भी प्रैक्टिस करना है तो उन्हीं सर्कमस्टेंसेस में करना है। एंड आई थिंक दैट वाज अ वेरी आई एटलीस्ट आई फाउंड माई सेल्फ मोर बैलेंस्ड इन दैट वे। सो दैट्स समथिंग आई वांटेड टू शेयर।
Thank you, Deepti ji. A lot of this is quite relatable to me also. अभी जब मैं जब मैं स्टूवर्डशिप के लिए गया था, तो बंते जी जानते हैं कि मैं कितना ऑलमोस्ट अजान केवली से भी और बंते जी से भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा मैं इसके बारे में डिस्कशन करता था कि वर्क के रिलेटेड मेरा क्या एटीट्यूड होना चाहिए, क्या एटीट्यूड होना चाहिए, क्योंकि मेरे को भी कहीं ना कहीं ये चीज़ दो अ, अलग लगता, ऐसा लगता था कि मतलब आई डेंट नो वाई, क्योंकि अब थोड़ा काफ़ी जो ग्रीड होता था, एक तो ये था मेरे लिए कि काफ़ी ग्रीड खत्म हो गया मनी का और रिच होने का, ये सब चीज़ का। बट मैं ऑलरेडी वर्क कर रहा था, तो मेरे को ये फिर समझ नहीं आ रहा था कि मैं वर्क कर क्यों रहा हूँ। अब मैं कर रहा हूँ तो क्यों कर रहा हूँ, मैं क्यों, मेरे को करना चाहिए इतना। तो वो काफ़ी चेंज हुआ। अब आई नाउ आई एम टेकिंग ऑन मोर ऑफ द एटीट्यूड ऑफ Dhamma also being, sorry, the work also being a practice of Dhamma in some sense.
Uh, I resonate with what Deeptiji mentioned. After I practicing regularly and Dhamma and Vipassana, I could able to manage my time effectively in the office also. It happened so being leading HR professional in my organization. Now because of I can able to manage things effectively. Today I had a discussion with my CEO where I can contribute to establishing a new business. I said I have 20% time I want to spend on that, along with one of the business leader, and I met CEO and he said go ahead and set up some business for European region, which was not really I could not able to imagine this kind of things where when we really follow the Sheila and do the things the way it's supposed to be done. I also feel very competitive and as good as any other professional. We can contribute to the organization and we can also grow in other aspects. Thank you.
So just to be clear, as I understand, the encouragement is maybe not necessarily for optimizing one's professional expertise, because you should also remember there is other advice in other places that discourages one to be, for example, excessively busy. How I understand this advice is that if one finds oneself in such a situation, then what should be the attitude? And so to be willing to play that role as best as possible, but to also not forget that it's a role, and that principally the purpose of that is to have enough income so as to be able to do those things that are described there. So I think just to caution that dharma may not and should not become a means of fulfilling one's ambitions, so to say. So just to balance that out.
Yes, Pantaji. Thank you. Bit of a slippery slope sometimes there.
Yeah, and I think in that sense, it's very valuable to remember that the path is always in the middle. तो अगर हमारी ऐसी धारणा है, which was the note that I had suggested to Saksham, ऐसी भी धारणा होती है, which is something I've come across, that one is reluctant to work and somehow one gets by with this using this as a veil that I want this for my I want time or whatever for dharma. So that's one extreme, and then the other extreme is where one is optimizing oneself, especially where the chetana, where the motivation is more driven by some form of material progress. So just to be walking.
Yes, Deepak ji.
Bhante ji, if you permit me, I would like to give a very good example regarding Uba Khinji, who was guru of Goenka ji, which is relevant to our discussion. Uba Khinji was a clerk in the audit department in Burma. And he was a guru of Goenka ji, and he was doing Vipassana training. He had his own ashram where he was giving training, and eventually he also started, he was a government servant, and when he retired, he was head of the department of three departments in the Burmese government. And in his office, he had set up a place, a room, where he used to train his subordinates in Vipassana meditation. So it is a very excellent, it's an excellent example where Dhamma and your profession can go together. and one can also reach a very high levels in the profession also. I thought this is a good example which I can share.
Yeah, thank you, Surisa. Again, and I'm going to try and say this very carefully. लेकिन मैंने कई बार ये नोटिस किया है कि there is this tendency to use some aspects of the Eightfold Path. For example, concentration as a means to raise one's professional capacity and so forth. Now, in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with that. But if I have this bhav कि मैं so to say practice कर रहा हूँ और उससे मेरी efficiency बढ़ रही है, then that's really not what this whole exhortation here in Sutto mein ya generally is. Yeah, sure, there are likely to be some incidental outcomes, but to be clear कि मैं धर्म की practice क्यों कर रहा हूँ? Am I doing it to sort of be a more efficient worker and so forth, or am I doing it for liberation? So to also be careful, about that.
And उसी note पे I would like to also add that in the last like some weeks, my sort of definition of meditation has changed. मैं काफी ज़्यादा इस चीज़ से कुछ struggle कर रहा था I guess कुछ time से कि it has changed from sitting down and breathing and concentrating on the breath to sort of it has become more dynamic to sort of what is most required by the situation. So sometimes the appropriate meditation that I need to do is actually to get to work, to do my work. That's like my current understanding now, that it's sometimes when it's required, it's better to do work than to sit for meditation and try to achieve bliss. Sort of giving away our sense of self also in some way in that, and doing the work very carefully with attention and mindfully. So any
Laksham, you had some questions. Do you want to maybe ask them?
Sure. So I have a couple of questions, which is that in Sitta number 11 in balanced finances, uh, this is the Buddha says that so we can understand. I think it's intuitive ki if someone is spending much more than they are earning, then it's intuitive how that would be bad for someone. But how is like living frugally? It's ki someone is earning much more than they are spending. That they're living too frugally. This gentleman is starving themselves to death, people will say. So how is this probably bad? Because I've usually seen this as a good thing in at least currently in society. So for example, जो दिमाग में example आता है, that is of Warren Buffett. उनके बारे में ऐसा सुना जाता है कि he is one of the richest people in the world and he lives like a very very normal person, so to say. So why is this considered bad?
Too much frugal is also kind of craving or greediness, right? You want to save, save, and save, which is not really a balanced and equanimity in that. So when we are too much on that, you lost the balance. But as we know, Warren Buffett, I think he has a very balanced for his personal things. Though he may not go for very luxury branded items and all, but I think what I have read also, he balances those.
Warren Buffett is not living a frugal life. He's living a good life, but he's not wasting money. 1000 रुपए की घड़ी ने भी वही टाइम दिखाना है और 10 लाख की घड़ी ने भी वही टाइम दिखाना है. So he's not wasting money buying a watch for 10 lakhs.
Okay. So I understand. But like, okay, keeping the Warren Buffett example aside for a moment now, like in general, spending frugally still.
Frugally means इतनी कंजूसी किस काम की ना? अगर आप अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं a better lifestyle and you can afford to help others also, कंजूसी में आप वो सब नहीं कर रहे, अपने आप को भी पनिश कर रहे हैं और किसी को हेल्प भी नहीं कर रहे, ना सोसाइटी में ना दान दे रहे, ना कुछ कर रहे हैं इस उसमें कि भैया मेरे को बचाना है, तो माइजरलीनेस तो अच्छी बात है नहीं ना. सेम एज फेंकना भी सही बात नहीं है, उसी उसमें एकदम कंजूसी रहना भी वो नहीं है ना. Either of the two extremes is bad.
Yes, okay, makes sense a bit. So I think इसमें एक चीज और हो सकती है कि जो यहाँ पर एक्सपेंडिचर की बात करिए, आई वाज थिंकिंग ऑफ दिस ओनली एज पर्सनल एक्सपेंडिचर ऑन वन सेल्फ, बट दिस कुड बी टोटल एक्सपेंडिचर also, like including the offerings and जो भी दाना है, so it might be that also कि हम right. So good point, I think.
Expenditure is essentially whatever you are spending.
Sense.
It could be on anything. So expenditure is that. What goes out of your pocket.
Thank you.
I have one another example of Mr. Ratan Tata. I have heard and read somewhere that he donates 60% of his total wealth.
So of who? Who's
Mr.
example?
Ratan Tata. Ratan Tata.
Yes, Deepak ji.
Yeah, I think I will add, we have a few more examples from our own country. We have talked of an American example. We have excellent example of Narayan Murthy and Sudha Murthy. They are not extravagant and they are not frugal. They live simple life according to their needs. They don't waste the money and they give a lot of donations. They're doing, they spend money for noble cause. But one rider is, I think, given in this discussion, that secure yourself for uncertainties of future. You should not spend so much that in dire situations of time to come, you will be, having a financially you must be stable. That's important. Saving is also mentioned very much there in this discussion.
Yes. It's in the next
You must save. You donate whatever you can, but saving is also required. That's what balance is. This is what I feel by the balance. For future, you must save something.
Thank you, Deepak ji.
Basically, I think householder के उसमें you should be able to fend for yourself. किसी और के आगे हाथ ना फैलाएं. So you should be able to, and you should plan for bad days also. Not all days are going to be good days. So basically, I think householder का वो है.
Thank you. That makes sense. Akash ji, your hand is up.
Yeah, actually, I was really contemplating. I do invest on equity market. Okay, one of the company which is in the manufacturing and selling of some agri products, which include the pesticides, and it has gone down by 20%. I saw that last week. I tracked some of the companies market, and I was really contemplating should I invest this company or not, because partially they do kind of pesticide for agriculture business. This is one company, and there was another company which is doing in online gaming and gambling and all. It happened that company has gone down by around 30% about 2 months before. I was really thinking should I invest this or not, but I was not really wishing this company go down. But as a investor, I was really contemplating, am I doing right things or not? Maybe someone can clarify me on this.
I think this stock market thing, earning from stock market, is a speculation and is a sort of gambling, as you are yourself saying you are not sure where to invest, not to do, and all. And gambling also is akin to gambling. This is my opinion, and it is not samyak ajivika, in my opinion.
Deepak ji, there are two ways of investing, right? I go every day morning, I want to trade, and by end of the day or in 10 days, I want to sell it out, I'm out. That is another way of trading. But there are people, and I focus on quality of companies, like some of the companies we all know it, like it may be Infosys, Asian Paints, HUL, and we invest that company, and that company make a business, sensible business, and every year it makes profit, and the shareholders get the money out of that. I don't think that is really gambling in that context.
Anyway, let Darsab clarify on this, or Banteji clarify on this. This was my opinion. It's akin to gambling. It is not gambling, but akin to gambling.
I think the ethics of the company are also important. If they are into firearms, if they are into selling meat, if they are into selling intoxicants, that wouldn't be right. But if you're investing in a company which is ethical, and you're just investing in a company that grows, I don't think that is gambling. That is just investing or helping another company grow.
वेल्थ को जो अगर लेजिटिमेट है हमारे मींस ऑफ अर्निंग, नॉन कोअर्सिव हैं, इलीगल नहीं है, हम अर्न कर रहे हैं, तो उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। ये जो 5 तरह की व्यवसाय बताए थे बुद्ध के समय में, अपने समय में उन्होंने जो वर्जित किए थे, हत्या करके मांस का व्यापार करना, अवैध नशा फैलाने वाला जो ड्रग माफिया वाला काम करना, या वैश्यावृत्ति के व्यवसाय में लगना, या हत्या के कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किलिंग के व्यवसाय में लगना, या किडनैपिंग के व्यवसाय में लगना, या अवैध हथियारों के जिससे समाज में अव्यवस्था फैले, कानून व्यवस्था बिगड़े, ऐसे व्यवसाय करना, या जहर बेचने वाला व्यापार करना, ये वर्जित किए थे। बाकी वो ये है कि जो काम भोगी सूत्र में 10 प्रकार की बताई गई हैं, काम भोगी 10 प्रकार के होते हैं, गृहस्थ 10 प्रकार के होते हैं। तो 10 प्रकार के में जो सबसे अच्छा माना गया है, जो लीगली सीख कर रहा है अपना अर्निंग को, वो सीक्स वेल्थ यूजिंग लेजिटिमेट एंड नॉन कोअर्सिव मींस, तो वो कितना भी अर्न कर सकता है, उसकी कोई लिमिट नहीं बोली है, एक बात। दूसरा, जो अर्न किया उसके अंदर आसक्त नहीं होना है, और उसको अपने ऊपर भी खर्च करना है और दान भी करना है, पुण्य भी, दान पुण्य, वो जो मैत्री को खोलते हैं वाले जो वे हैं, ब्रह्म विहार में प्रवेश करना है, तो अगर तो खोलना तो पड़ेगा हाथ, नहीं खुले हाथ होना चाहिए, तो 6 दिशाओं में होना चाहिए।
डॉक्टर साहब,
तो
कैन
इस
आई
तरह का
रिक्वेस्ट, जो प्रकाश जी का सवाल था ना, मे बी वी कैन हेल्प फोकस ऑन दैट, है ना। ही हैज अ वेरी स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन कि कुछ ऐसी कंपनीज हैं जो ऐसी चीजें कर रही हैं जो प्रकाश जी को लगता है आर नॉट ओके, सो व्हाट इज द एडवाइस ऑन दैट? सो मे बी इफ यू
पायल जी
फोकस ऑन दैट
कहेंगे
ना, तो मदद होती है उनको थोड़ी, प्लीज।
इस मामले में जो पायल जी कहेंगे वो सही कह रही हैं, जो लेजिटिमेट है मींस, ठीक है, तो वो उसमें इन्वेस्ट करना कोई गलत तो है नहीं। दूसरी कंपनी को अगर हम हेल्प कर रहे हैं ग्रो करने के लिए, अपना कंट्री का ट्रेड को ग्रो करने के लिए,
ओके, वेरी गुड, वेरी नाइस।
अगर वो लेजिटिमेट है, तो अगर इलीगल है और हम ड्रग माफिया में पैसा लगा रहे हैं, अगर हम
उनकी his examples are very specific, so my request is, let's stick to that so that the discussion has some direction, है ना। तो so thank you, Dr. Saab. आपका कहना है कि जब तक वो गैर कानूनी नहीं है तब तक ठीक है. आई मीन वी शुड बी ऑल्सो, वी शुड रिमेंबर, सी फॉर एग्जाम्पल, currently in according to our laws, none of the five जिनको की सम्यक आजीविका नहीं माना जाता है बुद्ध के शिक्षा में, उनमें से कुछ भी इलीगल नहीं है एक्चुअली. सो इट्स जस्ट समथिंग टू थिंक अबाउट. But let's hear maybe 3 hands up. Maybe Sharma Saab first, and Nikhil, and then Surenji.
Yeah, thank you very much. In this discussion, we are touching so many points. Now I will be concentrating on this stock market things. Actually, these things comes in everybody's minds. So what should be done? The examples may be in Muslim world, the investment where interest is earned, जहाँ ब्याज मिलती है वहां पर पैसा जमा करना या पैसा किसी को ब्याज पर देना खराब माना जाता है. But even then, some persons do it. So similarly, in this case, it is our inner understanding up to what extent we get satisfaction or we don't get no satisfaction. Our inside voice, we have to follow our inside voice. Some persons may say it's okay, some persons may say it's not okay. Now let me give a very, very similar example. For example, the non-vegetarian food for us is not desirable and we don't like it. But even in Buddhist countries, they have meat. Even our Dalai Lama have meats. And they say that since they have not killed the animal, therefore they can take the meat. So similarly, as per our need, the things have been made in the society as per our needs. This pesticide business also required and benefit also required. But what is needed is in where we spend the benefits. If we spend the benefits for the benefit of the humanity, it's okay. Otherwise, if we spend the money in unwholesome deeds, it is not good. So, giving the particular answer to it is that it is the choice or it is the insight, whatever insight of the investor says, please do it. And after that, when insight changes, then you also change it. So giving the example like meat and Buddhist, this thing, and saying that they don't do it, they don't kill it, therefore it's okay. One can follow the same principle here also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sharma ji. Haji, Nikhil. And may I request, it's now 10 minutes past 8, hai na? So we can maybe be brief in our comments. Thank you. Haji, Nikhil, please.
Yes, Pankaj, actually, that's a very important topic, but I will be very short. Though I can speak at length. तो ये जो स्टॉक वाला बताया उसमें मैं अपना अनुभव जैसे बताया कि पैसा लगा सकते हैं अगर कोई कंपनी आपको लगता है कि वो एथिकली सही है, जैसे समा आजीवो के हिसाब से चल रही है. एक एग्जांपल देके बताता हूँ. जैसे फार्मास्यूटिकल है तो मैंने चेक किया अपने केस में, मैं लीवर की दवाई खाता हूँ तो मैंने उसका सॉल्ट चेक किया और सोडाइकोलिक एसिड. अभी उसका रेट एक कंपनी 45 रुपीज में भी दे रही है, दूसरी 40 में भी दे रही है, तीसरी 35 में भी दे रही है. मैंने देखा सबसे सस्ता कौन दे रही है, क्योंकि वही प्रधानमंत्री जन औषधि केंद्र में हो सकता है 15 रुपए की गोली मिल रही हो, तो कौन बड़ा मार्जिन लेके जा रहा है. तो मैंने जो सबसे कम मार्जिन ले रही थी उस कंपनी में पैसा डाल दिया, सो दैट एटलीस्ट वो एथिकली करेक्ट है. वो मार्जिन ले रहे हैं बट इतना नहीं ले रहे कि बहुत सारा बबल कर रहे हैं. तो मैं चाहता हूं कि ऐसी कंपनियों को बढ़ावा मिले, ऐसी कंपनियों को मे बी फ्रॉम द अवर साइड उनको पता होना चाहिए कि इन्वेस्टर क्या चाहते हैं. इन्वेस्टर चाहते हैं कि आप अंधाधुंध प्रॉफिट ना कमाएं.
Nikhil, sorry. Prakash ji has a very specific dilemma, है ना? His concern is that there is a pesticide manufacturer and there is a like a online gamer, है ना? So his dilemma is, should I or should I not? That's it. So my request is maybe let's focus on that. That's his dilemma.
Okay. So of course मैं तो नहीं करूंगा. Yeah. तो उनमें तो मैं नहीं करूँगा. I don't want them to
Yeah. Okay.
flourish.
So you are quite clear about that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Suren ji, बताइए. Let's hear.
Very short answer. I think Payal has already given the answer, one aspect of the answer. I mean, ethically, the business should be okay, should be acceptable as per the जो भी हमारी मान्यताएं हैं. If it is okay from that perspective, it is fine. I will not specifically talk about pesticides and gambling because I mean, you have to determine whether it's ethically okay or not. So I won't like to make a comment on that. The more important perspective from my side is the process of investment itself. What is it doing in my mind? Is it also changing the mind state to one of greed? And if it is so, then you have to be careful. I think that's the only additional thing I would like to say. That there may be an associated mind state when you're focusing too much on investment. I mean, investment is, I'm not against investment because this also says protect your money, and probably earning is a way of, investing is a way of earning, protecting your money in some sense. So, but then in the process, are you getting too invested mentally in the process of investment, which can be dangerous? That's all I would like to say.
Very nice, Suren ji. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Maybe I'll say a few words. जो वर्जित कर्म है, जो वर्जित आजीविका है, वो क्यों वर्जित है? इसलिए वर्जित है कि उनके जो प्रोडक्ट्स हैं जिसमें ट्रेड हो रहा है या मैन्युफैक्चर हो रहे हैं, वो दूसरों को शील तोड़ने में सहायक होते हैं. तो भगवान ने जो वो काम जो बताए हैं, मीट का, एनिमल रेयरिंग, पॉइजन, आर्मामेंट्स, वो इसलिए वर्जित किए गए क्योंकि उस प्रोडक्ट का जो भी इस्तेमाल करेगा उससे शील ही टूटेगा उसका. So this is the broad guideline, and we can use the same guideline in investing. If you are doing in specific industries, that would be used. So अब आप किस हद तक उसको ले जाएंगे पेस्टिसाइड को, कि हम मुझको सिंथेटिक पेस्टिसाइड नहीं यूज करने, मुझे ऑर्गेनिक करने हैं. Yeah, one can dabble in that. Yeah, why not? It depends on the extent to which you want to go in that direction. Or the gambling process, of course, if I am investing in a casino, I'm obviously creating problems for people. If I'm investing in a company which is making packed meat for everybody, I'm then encouraging the slaughter of animals, or encouraging that. So in this way, if you apply the criteria, it will be easier. Rather than going into debate of synthetic fertilizer, pesticide लगाना चाहिए कि नहीं लगाना चाहिए, that will become a very fine point. One can work on that also. But then the issue will be, are you really sure that the other alternative is better? There are people who say that if you use organic pesticides, it doesn't work and the farmers' produce falls down, or that there are so many complications because you study. I don't know, we don't have too much time to get into it. So the general principle is that, which is, I think, worth contemplating.
So basically, just to paraphrase what you're saying is that ultimately it's a individual व्यक्तिगत decision, and these guidelines are available for each of us to see how far we want to, how fine we want to make this.
There's something that are clear, no? Investing in a distillery, investing in a private armament factory, investing in a casino, investing in a sex trade. This will obviously be not recommended by Buddha.
Sir, I just want to ask you, I don't know if I recall I had asked you earlier also, what is the difference between as an investment in a good company, which is following that 5 precepts or whatever, and trading as such on a day-to-day basis? Because then there is a kind of a greed factor which definitely comes into mind. Like what SPJ said was, I completely agree. So this trading is sort of a gambling, is what I feel. And I'm not saying that others should not do it or not do it. It is my personal opinion, and I might not want to do it as such. तो वो कैसे, how does it become a samma ajiviko? Because many people do it. Even the Dhamma brothers and sisters, I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just generally asking because this question has been there.
साहब ने कहा, सुरेंद्र प्रसाद जी ने, कोई भी एक्टिविटी जो मेरे ग्रीड को प्रमोट करती है वो परेशानी करेगी, दुखी बढ़ाएगी. Why talk of these? जो स्कूल में टीचर होते हैं और वो क्लास में नहीं पढ़ाते और ट्यूशन करते हैं, that is as much bad as trading. That also does the same thing. So let's not point out on few things. You can, हम अपनी जो डॉक्टर लोग unnecessary टेस्ट करवाते हैं पेशेंट से, that's also us, not सम्यक आजीविका. No, not at all. And we know it is happening, and on a worldwide scale, especially in India. So आजीविका को सिर्फ उन लिमिट्स तक ना रखें. अगर मैं टीचर हूँ और मैं वहाँ पे स्टूडेंट्स को कहता हूँ कि यहाँ पे मेरा टाइम नहीं है, मेरे घर आके पढ़ो और इतने पैसे लूंगा, it's disaster. It's not a सम्यक आजीविका. I'm a doctor and I do the same thing. I'm a lawyer and I do the same thing. आजीविका सम्यक तो रही नहीं ना फिर. So we have to see its implications in terms of the overall teaching of the Buddha. Because the element of cheating is involved, element of not doing the work, earning the money righteously. You see, all those things are involved. आप कई बार कहा जाता है गवर्नमेंट सर्विस में लोग तनख्वाह तो ऐसे ग्रांटेड है, बाकी तो they don't work so much and so they are not earning righteously. Yeah, one could say that. If I am getting a good salary and I don't devote my proper full attention and time to that, and in that time I do something else for my private money earning, it is equally bad. So we can see it in a more broad perspective.
I was actually okay. इसमें your profession itself is like, you're only earning it through the way of stock market as such. तो तुम्हारा focused ही वो पूरा, your livelihood itself is that. So I was.
I know of people, I hope none of my friends, I'm not trying to name anybody. I know of a person who has developed a master, he was extremely good. He was head of a very big company, software company. With his great intellect, he developed a software using which he can advise people to invest money in various companies and it will maximize their profit. So his whole effort is in developing software. The rest, everything happens now automatically. Now, what do you call it? So there are very gray lines in between. So it's not necessary that a person is driven by that. It's a person wanting to check up his knowledge, worth, whatever. You can have all kinds of alibis. The issue is that if does a person who is working on stock, daily trading business in the stock market, Is he likely to get entrapped in greed? Yes. The probability is high. Probability is high. You can't say it is certain. Because every businessman will try to earn money. Shopkeepers buys things for some money, rupees, and sells it for large money. How much difference do you allow him? Can you decide? No. It's a question of person's own understanding. There will be an element of greed involved in all our actions. The issue is whether it is dominating our life or whether it is kind of adjustment to the worldly conventions. How much should I charge when I do a consultancy work? How do I decide? How much should I charge for? This was a question in IIT, and Professor Saab will remember. How much should a professor charge a company for giving consultation? We said we like to give a small amount. No, you have to charge this much because you're getting high salary and IIT is paying your salary, and then you can have logic. So one could say that IIT is actually forcing people to be greedy. So the issues will become too complex, and it is a unnecessary kind of proliferation of the mind, to me it seems. If you just focus on the fact that my actions, my Ajivika is not such that it promotes, it encourages others to break their Shila, I think that is the fundamental principle which you can follow. Rest, whether it is arising my anger or whether it is arising my greed, they are general things for every action. That is true of every occupation. So in Samma Ajiviko, this part is included, and then the basic factor of following the Eightfold Path. Samma Vayama says we should avoid doing anything which creates our mental state to be defiled, which increases unwholesome mental factors. So any action which increases greed or any action which increases aversion, which increases delusion, it is obviously not in accordance with the Eightfold Path. We are making the mind more and more impure. So when you consider that broad principle, it applies to everything, every action of ours, whatever we eat, whatever we do, how we talk to people, every element of it. It applies to Ajivika also.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
We can think about it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so we could go into the closing chants. Any last words? Because that's pretty much what we had. Yeah, very good. So hopefully it was of some use, or we'll keep this mechanism going of all of us meeting and discussing and sharing with each other, and may it continue to benefit us all. And hopefully some of the things that we have studied give us some some points for aspiration in the coming year. So thank you. Okay, Geeta, would you like to invite you to, or Nikhil, whoever is doing the Samparit or dedication of merits?
Can you see my screen? I'll just. Oh. Do Jay Parita, page number 115. सिर्फ पाली में करेंगे, समय कम है। महाकारुणिको नाथो हिताय सर्वपाणिनं पुरेत्वा पारमी सब्बा पत्तो सम्बोधिं उत्तमं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु ते जयमङ्गलं जयन्तो बोधियामूले सख्यानन्दिवर्धनो एवं त्वं विजयो भूरि जयसु जय मङ्गले अपराजितपल्लङ्के शीसे पटविं पोखरे अभिषेके सर्वबुद्धानन् अग्गपत्तोपमोदति सुनकतं सुममङ्गलं सुप्रभातं सुहीटितं सुकनो सुमुहूर्तो च सुयितं ब्रह्मचारिषु पदकिनं कायकम्मं वाचाकम्मं पदकिनं मनोकम्मं पनिदेते पदकिनानि कत्वानं लभन्ते पदकिने। बंते जी से अनुरोध है क्लोजिंग के लिए। ओवर टू यू बंते जी।
भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो भगवान् भगवन्तं अभिवादेमि। स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो धम्मं नमस्सामि। सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो संघं नमामि।
आइए बंते जी को 3 बार नमन करें। नमन, नमन, नमन। Just one announcement. Tomorrow, Deepti ji will be sharing her insight. We'll resume our insight sharing session from tomorrow evening.
I'm not sure अगर ये वाली sharing बंते जी, is it going to continue this late?
Well, we are really done with the content that we had. अगर ऐसी feeling है that there people want to have more discussion, because I did have some other questions that were sent to me that we weren't able to take up. But it's really up to us कि हम कैसे करना चाहते हैं. So would people like to quickly, maybe in the next few moments, just express an opinion कि ये जो livelihood वाला section है, is there something more that would like to be discussed? Then we can do that. Otherwise, we can move on.
Since you know the questions, maybe you can decide and tell us.
Yeah, well, I have a couple, but I mean, just in terms of whoever is left, if there are people here who have.
Bantaji, we could not discuss the proper use of wealth. So,
Okay, so we can keep going tomorrow then. That's fine.
yeah, I think that we can complete it.
Is that
so
okay, Deepti? Sorry, we have really, we've really displaced you. I'm really sorry about that.
No problem at all. I think this is a good series, so अगर इसको properly conclude कर लें, it will be
Yeah.
beneficial for all.
Because there are some hot potatoes in the questions I've got as well.
All the-
So maybe we keep going tomorrow.
Sure.
Okay, very good. Thank you.